Hey, everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to a special bonus edition of the Marketing Happy Hour. We've had to change this sucker from a Friday to a Wednesday, back to a Friday, then to a Saturday, and now we're officially on Wednesday. But my co-host had time today. So I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann of drvogelmann.com, the coaching group for doctors and other healthcare professionals who want more free time, freedom, and fun to do what they want to do, and Maximize Your Media, which is our digital agency where we focus on Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, and other social posting, as well as the advertising that goes along with it. And with me, as always, is my inimitable co-host.
For whom the bell tolls.
Ding dong. Did it ring yet?
Huh?
Did it ring yet?
Yeah, just rang.
Okay.
So I'm John Paduchak, and our agency is Videos Are Social.
I'm just having.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. It's crazy.
Your videos are social. They're
very extremely so.
I'm in trouble with my microphone today. It's the lighting. I prefer natural light. You have artificial light, but no matter what I do, there's I'm blinded. No matter what I do, I get blinded by the natural light
in my forehead.
I don't think there's anything I can do anymore. I've tried so many different things. It looks like I'm being scanned at a checkout stand at Target or Walmart,
or by aliens.
Before they abduct me and start probing.
The lizard people that come to scan you.
The lizard people.
Yeah.
Go back a little bit. Oh, I don't know. That's not any better. Oh, that's a little better. Oh, how about this? Hey, that works.
Hey, that's better.
Finally. I'm off to the side, but that's okay. But the microphone is glaring, but there's not much I can do with it. Anywho, we're going to be talking about, we're continuing our discussion about connecting with people and how connection can bring you an infection, but it also can put you in the right direction. That's why we social distance, but we digitally dive into getting to know people.
Exactly. Which is easy to do these days.
It's a lot easier. I mean, forget the whole Zoom thing and everything else, but the reality is that we have a lot of opportunities to connect. And John and I, just before we got on here, we were talking about Clubhouse, which is a very interesting concept of connecting with luminaries in your field, in part because it's not very crowded. So it's like the Wild West.
Not at all. I mean, it's totally like the Wild West. You want to meet people that you haven't had a chance to meet before. Now's a great time to be on Clubhouse.
Yeah, you can meet famous people who you always admired in the marketing world or in sports or entertainment or other things like that. Because
they said they had a famous actor that sat in one of the things they were doing last night.
Well, I know that I was automatically told to follow Tiffany Haddish because apparently she's got quite the presence on Clubhouse. So it's similar insofar as, when you're first setting up a Twitter account or an Instagram account, they kept forcing you to follow people. They didn't do that for me, which I thought was really nice of them. But they made certain suggestions, and it was intriguing to say the least as to whom they'd suggested. So
it was yes.
I mean, we can start a room, you and I, as opposed to a rumor, and then see who shows up.
I think we should, just for fun. I got a little time on my hands tonight.
You got some time tonight? We can set up. We can set up and see what happens.
It's my lovely wife's birthday, but she's out for a little while.
Yeah. So those of you who do have phones, you need to get an invitation though. So those of you who have phones, you need the little Clubhouse app right in there.
You want to at least go and reserve your name.
Oh, I hadn't thought of reserving my name. That's interesting.
In fact, the smart thing you could do is get my phone number or Dr. V's phone number from us, and then you might get an invite. I heard that's the secret.
You think that is the secret? You give people.
I heard that was the secret. I heard if you were a phone number for somebody who signed up, then they let you in. They sent you an invite. So
it's one way to connect with the right people. But you gave me an invitation on New Year's Day.
On New Year's Day, I gave you a direct invitation. Because one of my friends invited me, because she's like, "Oh, I got a free invite, and I had to get you on." So that was so funny. That was so fun. I was thrilled that she did that. So
that's cool. Great. Well, you thank her for me.
Thank you, Sue Antonoro.
So I started following about 150 people. I've got 18 followers now.
Mm,
I would say something about Clubhouse, though. I've seen these really long uh, biographies or bio areas. Not
very long.
bio, they're not biohazards, but they're really extensive. And I thought this was a short format like Twitter. So I
Mm,
put in mine with some emojis and other things like that. You know, basically
nice. I still have to read it.
doctor. So I did that. I pimped it out a little bit, but then I found that people had these really long. Let me see if I can
I
find
had
one.
long ones. Yeah, somebody had huge
They
ones.
were long.
And
I
then I
mean,
found out that there was an RV group. I was very excited about that.
well, there you go.
Everything RV. They had me at that one. I can't miss out on that deal. So
For
some of the
example, so
groups,
Alicia Little, I've known her for many, many years,
yeah.
and so, but she has this really long one,
Oh yeah,
and
very
so
long.
long that you've got to continue to scroll down to get to the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I thought you know what the problem is? I didn't push the envelope, and I didn't um, go beyond what I thought was maybe a 150 character thing, which is what you'll see on LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, but on Twitter
Twitter.
in terms of the bios and Instagram bios and Twitter bios are a little different in terms of what you can get away with. I have to modify them ever so slightly, but I it's an interesting concept. I guess we were talking about Clubhouse now just because we started with it, but in terms of connecting with people, it's pretty amazing because it's audio only.
Audio only.
And when you think about it, it's almost like having a party line from
Mhm.
way back in the 40s, 50s,
Back in
60s.
the day, my wife didn't know what those were. I had to explain.
She didn't know what.
She
Oh,
never had a party line. I said, "You never were on a party line?" Oh my gosh.
we had. I mean, with Party Line. But are you talking about Party Line just the general phone company, or are you talking Party Line with?
They're a phone company. Party line
Yeah,
with a phone company.
yeah. We had one in my grandparents' country cottage, which we just used for summer and fall. Occasionally go in the winter,
Yeah.
but it was. I think there were three on the Party Line. And
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
you'd pick up the phone, you could hear somebody else's conversation, and you hang it up again until they're off the line, and then you call somebody. And
I
party
really
lines are basically it's cheaper. They were cheaper than regular phone
Yeah,
service.
they were cheaper. I think it was our only option actually where we lived.
Oh, really?
I don't even think that we could have a private line for a long, long time, and then all of a sudden we could.
Yeah,
And so
that's
we did. I
interesting.
think you were lucky; you only had three. I think we had like 10 people on our party line.
Actually, three is what I remember, but I think it could have been as high as five,
Yeah, I think
from
we
what
had.
I recall. Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It really is. It's kind of like the modern
But
version of the
but it
party line.
then the interesting part is the audio quality is really good
Very
from
good.
having listened to a couple of people.
Very, very
I don't quite understand yet all the manipulation of who you have to raise your hand if you have a question, and you can feature people, and there's a certain number of moderators in the first tier, and then lurkers are down below, and then I don't know if it's the scum of the universe, but it seems like there's a third tier way down at the bottom
yeah.
of a room. But I think we should play with it and see what we can come up
I do
with.
too. Be fun.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it was really interesting to listen to yesterday. It was Rich Sheffrin and Jay Abraham. There's Matt Rizvi and a few others. Gosh, who else was there? Can't quite remember. But it was interesting to see that you could connect with a very high tier group of people
Right.
whom you would normally have to pay hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars to talk to.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
It's very, very true. And one thing we said last time we were on Wednesday is that, it's all about who you hang out with.
Right.
In moving forward. So this is
finding the right people. So in this case, we had that whole debate the other day about, is the ideal group 3 people or 4 people, or if you're a Volvo assembly line, is it 20 people in your team?
20 is big, I think.
But there's so many people in there. From what I could see, there were like 3 rows, 4 rows. There were as many as 10 or 12 people in the so-called moderator category.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you as a host can elevate them to that status, perhaps, or you just bring in. Actually, they weren't all moderators, but a lot of them were, which I was really surprised at.
Yeah, we'll have to try it out.
Yeah, we can try it out and report back. But it does fascinate me, and there are groups too. So I just immediately joined a podcast group, which I thought was very interesting to see all these folks who just are luminaries in the podcasting world, not just those who are podcasters, but those who train people to do podcasts.
Yeah, I think I did too. I think I joined the podcast group.
I think it's very interesting, and I do see though that I'm wondering if when you're connecting with people, if the so-called video podcast is going to disappear, and this audio type of presence might take over.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't think the video presence is going to go away anytime soon.
No, but the question in my mind, I think of Mars Burden and his I can't remember if she's wife or girlfriend, Michelle, have a podcast. It's Planet was it Planet Business? I think is what it was. And they have the setup where they have the two microphones, they're talking across from each other, and they have multiple cameras set up. And so you can either listen to the podcast on all those various platforms, or you can watch them on their YouTube and Facebook.
Cheers.
But I do find that I learn more through audio than I do from watching people speak. But maybe that's just me.
Might be you. I like to watch the interaction sometimes. Not always. Sometimes I like to focus on the content.
I mean, it depends, because I think on the replay, I'm paying much more attention to the audio, particularly when, like Katrina Ruth, I will listen to I will watch the video on YouTube, might be 2 minutes, might be 14 minutes. And then I put it, I will replay it and just listen to it with the phone flat down so I don't look at anything. And they are two very different experiences. Very different, which I thought was very interesting to me. But in terms of connecting with people, do we look for people who are similar to us, who are smarter than us, who have a voice that sounds okay? I mean, if you were to associate with somebody, particularly in the digital current pandemic world, does somebody's voice that's very scratchy or high pitched, will that affect you in terms of if you want to hang out with them, even if they're incredibly knowledgeable?
That's interesting. I don't know.
It just occurred to me now, based on having experienced my first Clubhouse room last night.
I listened to a little. I didn't hear any really obnoxious voices or anything.
Yeah. So, but I'm wondering if to succeed in the online world, you have to have a voice that's pleasant. Let's put it that way.
And yeah, it's possible.
Because if I'm talking like this all the time, you might find me really, really annoying.
Yeah,
probably.
You sound like Elmo.
I could be like Elmo.
Elmo voice going there.
I don't know. I don't recall ever imitating Elmo. So
yeah, it'd be very annoying. I don't think I could handle that.
You couldn't handle that.
Not for any length of time, no.
But it's part of the interesting. So when you're choosing people to hang out with, so in that situation, there were at least a dozen, if not more, people in there, and that would violate our notion that a group is 3 or 4 or 5 to 9, according to some research.
Even bigger groups than that.
Well, yeah. And if you're in a Facebook group where there's 100,000 people at any given time, my sense of it is that you still may have only, out of 100,000 people, you may have only 300 to 1,000 who are active.
Yeah.
The most.
Possibly.
Yeah. Because I know with the so-called Facebook friends on my profile that a lot of times there are, I think I only have, I have 4,000 or 4,400 or 4,100, whatever that is now. I unfriended a lot of people.
I did too.
And of those, I think I communicate regularly. I would say it's only between 100 and 150 or maybe 130. Yeah. I think.
I had an awful lot that my first interaction with them was that they were trying to sell me a bill of goods. I didn't want them. I wasn't interested in them.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot on LinkedIn. And I will tell you that if you really want to develop solid relationships with people,
don't start like that.
I actually find Twitter to be really good. I find Twitter to be
Yeah.
good. And if you can befriend them or follow them on more than one platform, I think you achieve a degree of digital intimacy and omnipresence because they're going to see you. They're going to see you on LinkedIn. They're going to talk to you on Twitter. You're going to find them in the Instagram, the DMs. And I mean, that's at least my thinking nowadays in terms of the people I really want to hang out with the most. I'll reach them on more than one platform. And I would say I'm consistent with Twitter because I've gotten a lot of good interaction with several people on Twitter who might not be, at least people might not think that they would respond to you. But if you do establish the relationship that you're at a party, and I really do believe that you have to think of social media as hanging out at a party. Hopefully you're not going to run up to the first person that you see at the party, introduce yourself, and try to sell them a life insurance policy.
No. Or ask them to marry you.
Yeah, because you will be the a-hole at the party. Don't be that person.
The common digital marketer one. Your very first interaction with people is not to ask them to marry you. It's to have a cup of coffee. Let's go have a cup of coffee. Not let's get married.
Well, I used to hit the earlier version of this was from like maybe 5 years ago. I remember is you don't ask somebody to marry you on the first date.
Yeah.
So I've always
same idea.
Very similar idea. And I think that's the thing I hate about LinkedIn, trying to establish relationships on LinkedIn. Now, I will tell you that if I find somebody who I connect with on LinkedIn, I send them over to Facebook because I want to have the ability to connect with them on Facebook Messenger. And I really don't like LinkedIn's Messenger. Plus, I want to know a lot more about them from looking at their personal profile. And I don't find as much richness about a person on LinkedIn as I do, say, on Facebook or even Instagram.
Yeah, there's such a move over there as of late. I get all these people, let's set up a call.
Set up a call, set up a discovery session.
Look, I don't want to do that.
If I want a discovery session, I'm going to watch the Discovery Network.
Right. Or I'll get in touch with
you. About earthquake.
Yeah. Let me tell you about, it's kind of like what Ed and I have been talking about lately. Yeah. It's like the thing that everybody wants. Everybody's like, it's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me.
Me.
Yeah, it's not. It's all about the person you're trying to work with or attract. It's all about them.
It's not about me.
It's not about me. And it's all
about thee.
And it's all about the result. They see the result they want to achieve in something that you've talked to them about.
Yeah.
It's not all about you. I hate to tell you. So
no, I thought it was
not all about you. No, and it's something that has become fundamentally wrong lately. That everybody is like me. It's not about you at all. So
the question is a lot of times that I have is we're admonished by a lot of marketers to provide educational experiences for people whom we follow so that we give value, give them useful information. But my question is, if you're seeking out people who are maybe several levels above you, like you have a direct connection with, say, a Rich Sheffrin or a Gary Vaynerchuk or a Mari Smith or somebody like that, what kind of possible educational experience can you offer them? I think it would be more just, do you engage in the comments and like things? And I actually think a comment is the most valuable thing that you can make in connecting with people in any form of social media.
That's funny. At the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
And you can always I find you can always find some way to interact with them.
Yeah.
There's always some unique perspective or tool or something like that you can share. And I say all the time is that there's always something I can offer in the conversation, because you can't know everything about everything.
No.
So no.
But at least you can also share your personal experiences with things. Like if you have,
and that's huge.
Yeah. And I've done that before I haven't really done much in terms of reels, but I've shared experiences, with what I did on TikTok. I've shared experiences that I've had, things that didn't work for me or things that have worked really well and sharing those things with the so-called gurus or the high mucky mucks of the internet marketing world. And I think that's the type of thing. If people are just looking for feedback, or even if they say something and you disagree with them, disagreeing with them in a pleasant manner as opposed to a hostile manner, I think is really valuable to them because it's feedback.
Tremendously valuable.
A lot of people won't dare challenge somebody, which is really interesting. I've found that to be the case. And in a real relationship, there will be give and take as opposed to worshiping every word that somebody says.
And in general, I don't think most people like to be challenged.
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean, something that they've said, or it's kind of, I think most people
maybe challenge is the wrong. Maybe challenge is the wrong word. I'm thinking more in terms of if you share a different perspective, or have a different take, or have a different experience.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think that's what
conflict with somebody about something. I don't think anybody wants to. I only know a couple people who enjoy that. That really enjoy a good argument.
I've had profound differences of opinion with a couple of people, but I think I can get away with it because I've interviewed them on my Google Hangouts years ago. So, and that is different. Yeah.
If you didn't have that kind of relationship with people,
not at the beginning,
right?
No,
it's very hard to get.
I actually had to entice them to come on my show.
Sure. You always have to do that a little bit.
You do. I don't know, and there's the process of doing this, because you were talking about identification and desire and what was the other one? Belief today.
Yeah.
I think all of them revolve around emotion, because desire, your deepest desires really are trying to satisfy your needs, and satisfying your needs gives you that, I was going to say, your dopamine and oxytocin and other kinds of good feeling chemicals circulating in your system. And then you talked about identification. And to me, identification has always been the strong emotional connection you have with something, thought, belief, person, or situation where you feel both the intense pain or the intense pleasure, depending upon what you perceive that person or that group going through.
Sure.
But belief has a certain emotional appeal, doesn't it? I mean, your beliefs are composed of your thoughts that you've repeated over and over again. I mean, would you look for people with similar beliefs, the same beliefs, or do you look for people with differing beliefs so you can learn from them?
I think it's a bit of a combination.
So
I like to hear the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know I have a lot of friends with beliefs that are different than mine. It's often interesting to hear the other side of the story.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have a hard time with that because, especially political story, they tend to overreact to that. They can't hear the other side. You just can't possibly be right. But, we are the lump sum of our experiences in life. And so lots of us have different opinions about things, based on the way we're brought up, on things that happened to us when we were younger, etc. So I think it's a combination.
So, but with all three of those, desire, identification, and belief, isn't there emotion associated with all of them?
All of them. Yep.
So I'm wondering if in that Gene Schwartz book, Breakthrough Advertising, if he's not just dealing with different segments of human emotion.
Absolutely.
And just hook people with emotion. I mean, when I was doing a lot of work with gamification for clients, that's one of the things. We would create the game design, and we would have certain elements of surprise and delight and randomness and all these other things that you would build into a game structure, which we took the game mechanics and put it into their business instead, which would really had the capability of hooking people and keeping them interested or keeping them as returning customers or returning patients.
And at the end, you really kind of back it up with logic.
Yeah, I do.
Emotionally, and then you got to back it up with.
Yeah, one of my favorite books is Predictably Irrational, where basically my fundamental belief has been that we all make emotionally based choices, and then we later rationalize it with the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bought this Volvo sports car because Volvo has a good safety record. It has amazing gas mileage. It's got these anti-lock brake things. There's some GPS in here, and now I have Wi-Fi in there and everything else. So, but the real reason you bought it is because you thought it was cool and you love the feel of at least imagining yourself in that car.
That's true.
But once you're in the car and you drive off the showroom, that feeling starts to dissipate pretty quickly.
I bought a Volvo once.
You did?
I bought it for the safety and the styling and the strength, and we buy things for different things.
But who buys the car? I mean, if you say you're buying the car for the styling, isn't that because you have an emotional connection to the design?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, you have an emotional connection to the design. The other thing I always thought was funny about Volvos, especially the old ones, the older Volvos, is that they heal themselves. We used to have this joke about I had a Volvo. A friend of mine, same thing. The older Volvos, you had a problem with it, you leave it and park it in the garage, and then you go back, and it was like it fixed itself.
It fixed itself.
It's so funny. I know a number of people who had that experience.
Those were the Volvo elves that are packed into every truck.
Yeah.
In a hidden compartment.
But
well, so taking that emotion, the emotional connections that we have with the styling and this and that, let's bring it over to people.
Yeah.
So who are the people? So if we're going to hang out with certain people and we have developed this know, like, or they've instilled in us the know, like, and trust, at least we feel we know them. We believe we can trust them.
Yeah.
We like them, but why do we like them? Why do we trust them? And then what do we look for in a group of people, the right people that we want to hang out with, in terms of what's going to elevate us as opposed to bring us down?
We certainly hang out with the people that resonate with us.
But that's the resonate thing. What makes them resonate?
I'm glad you asked that question.
I'm asking it now.
I'm glad you asked that question. So what when we talk about that, what makes them resonate? It's like I look at this as almost like a checklist. You know?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Think about you and I, how we met. So our mutual friend Eric Louvier introduced us. You were having
we actually met. We met. Didn't we meet in the comment section though of his broadcast?
We did. We met in the comment section.
Yeah.
And so you were having a challenge with video. He knew I could answer the question. And then next thing we know, we're having a full-on conversation about how we both came from Western New York. You were in the Boston area at one time because you went to Harvard. The yard.
I got my dad did pack. My dad packed the car in Harvard Yard.
Harvard Yard. There you go.
It was a '72 Oldsmobile station wagon.
Yep.
No. Yep. Yeah, it was.
So I think you start to check off boxes like, oh, this person is kind of like me. This person does this. Wow, this person's an RVer. And I know that if you go through, and we also tend to attract people who are like us, like, and in good or bad. So like, even in some of the different things that we have, like I have tremors. I can't tell you how many people I know that also suffer from the same affliction as I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we resonate with people on different levels. Some of it we know about, and some of it's very subliminal. I'll say that fast a couple times.
Indubitably
subliminal. So I mean there's a lot of check boxes, I think, to resonance.
I do like the relationship checklist as it applies to business relationships. Then my question though is that I've often found that support groups can actually keep people at a certain level though. Like if you find, and maybe I'm generalizing it, but I've taken care of more than 13,000 patients, but people sometimes in support groups, they want to stay the same. And it's like the crabs in the pot where if they try to get out and elevate their status, people pull them back in again.
Again.
So how is that mindset different from putting together a mastermind or a group of people, or in the case of, a room of people on Clubhouse?
That's a very good question.
Because I'm wondering if we seek out people at our level because we feel comfortable. They're not too high above us. They're not too below us. And we form a tribe. I'm generalizing again, but I think we sometimes will form a tribe of people at the same level of success. And that if we level up, it's scary to level up, but also some people are pissed off that you're leaving them for higher ground.
Yeah, very much so.
Have you ever experienced that in groups? Or
I've definitely experienced that in groups in different places.
Because I would think even in the RV world, if you're suddenly running around with a $200,000 RV compared to somebody else who has a little camper that they attach, it's almost like you're in different status levels within the RV community.
You definitely are. Yeah, it's true.
And people have their noses up in the air when they're
a multi-million-dollar bus.
They're multi-million-dollar mega bus as opposed to somebody who's, carrying a trailer.
But, it's funny. There's always common ground in that. So, like, for an example, since we brought up the whole RV thing, so my mechanic who works on my car, his father, he just bought his father's RV. And his father's RV was really something, It's like, I would say it was probably originally in the $300,000 to $500,000 range.
Yeah.
I have an RV, but for me, it's a mode of transportation, a way to get around. It wasn't that much when it was originally bought. It was nowhere near that when I bought it.
Right.
I didn't buy it new. I bought it from a person locally, but it was a top of the line, well made RV when it came out. So, I mean, there's a difference in status between those two positions. I would definitely say he's got a beautiful motorhome but yet on the same vein, he's like, hey, I'd really like to go camping with you and your wife sometime because I'm trying to learn more about it. We still share a common interest. We may be at different levels, but we do still share that common interest.
Which is emptying the waste from the RV.
Yeah, with the Y pipe, like in RV the movie, which you still have to see. So,
oh boy,
I think it's you, right? Did you see the movie RV?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
You're right. It is me. I'm the one who has not watched it. But I was listening to.
I think it was yours. I can say about it.
I was listening to. Was it Rachel Brosnahan, the gal who plays Mrs. Maisel in that series?
Oh, yeah.
And she was doing some RVing not too long ago, and she said that's just the biggest thing that they had trouble with was, where the hose would freeze up or something like that. And the things that she would talk about, she said the one thing I've learned about in RVing is poop. It's all about the poop.
It's the one thing everybody learns in RVing.
Yeah, it's like can you be close? Can you actually evacuate your bowels close to somebody else? Because of the proximity of space, and can you dispose of it in a easy manner
down a flexible pipe
that hopefully is not frozen,
so which was actually really popular in like the 60s. So like that whole segment of RVing hasn't changed since like the 60s or 70s. It's never been updated. It's always been the same. There's just now some new technologies starting to come on that area, but it really hasn't changed a lot. Yeah. So, that's an interesting side of RVing. It's like one of the big things that everybody talks about a lot is, what do you do? How do you manage your,
how do you manage
the
excrement?
Yeah. So it's a funny conversation.
I was checking back in comments. Comments is not working for some reason. I'm not happy with that, but hey, that's okay. We'll try some other things. It could be because I put "be right back" in the chat section, and it
could be
sprayed it out.
Nobody thinks you're here.
All 8 locations. It's like I'm talking to myself in the comment section here. So, any advice to people who are looking to level up their quality of the people they hang out with?
Yeah, I think one of the things I found that was interesting is I started to meet more people when I did virtual summits. which was very appealing. Inviting people to do interviews, which I think you experienced a lot as well.
Oh yeah.
Those kinds of things really, they do a couple of things. They let you upscale a lot because you get to meet people that are maybe in a higher status than you.
Right.
They love to be interviewed. It's a great way to connect with folks. But the other side of things too is you actually get to borrow some of their expertise every time you meet with them and see them and connect with people like that. So we have that ability to kind of borrow on their expertise level.
Yeah, if you learning from them and their expertise is one thing, but I think you also achieve a certain status by having invited somebody on. It's like it's a badge of authority.
It is. So I found that was a great way to meet people, but there's also, like I said, it's impossible to know everything about everything. And a lot of times you may run into somebody that, doesn't know about something in a particular area that you've got expertise in. You can always learn that information, and that's a great way to meet new people as well. So
is there any particular platform that you like over another one in terms of being able to meet high quality people?
Another one.
Or your top two, let's say.
Facebook has always been pretty good for that for me.
Yeah. But you don't have the fear of missing out on a younger audience, because do you? Because I know Instagram skews younger, but there's a lot of 45-year-olds.
Any of them are good to reach out to other people. I mean, I've used all of them to a certain extent. Even YouTube to a certain extent.
Yeah. Commenting on YouTube videos is a great way to connect with
it is a great way to connect
high level people, because a lot of people never comment on those videos, especially when you see people who have maybe 2,000 or even 5,000 or so subscribers. It's astonishing to me how few comments are ever made on their videos.
It is astonishing. And some of them, they just maybe wipe them out because they're having issues with, people coming in and making rude comments or.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people I know some people would just delete the bad comments and keep the good ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but if you
do, a great way to connect to people too.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you really demonstrate that you actually watch the video and you have some comments or questions relative to some of the points that were covered, that really does raise the eyebrow of the person who's done the video.
It does.
Because then that's the type of engagement that is extremely valuable.
Like lately, I've been watching Mari Smith a lot.
Yeah.
And I went and I watched something she did the other night, and she happened to be talking about our app here that we were just talking about, and some other ones like it that have popped up in the past, like Blab and some of those types of things. And so when they were coming up with that, I put in who I am on there, because she gave people the opportunity to do that. So I made a comment that, I was on that, and, who knows? It's a great way to connect with folks that way too.
It is. It's funny. Sometimes I play a game with myself, which is, will my comment on, say, for example, Mari Smith, will my comment come up? Will my comment come up? Actually, comments come up on Rich Sheffrin all the time because we've had that connection with his mastermind. So it's almost that is interesting in and of itself, because it's sort of a status thing. And I've connected on a personal level with several people who are some of the OGs in internet marketing, because I knew him. I was introduced to Todd Brown, and because I knew Todd Brown too, and I was introduced to Mike Filsame, and some of these people. It's very interesting when you reach a certain level where they trust that they're not going to bother you, and they actually give you something which is extremely valuable, like their cell phone number.
Yeah.
So, and when somebody does do that for me, out of respect, I rarely will contact them.
So
rarely. In fact, there's a couple of people I can think of right now where maybe I've connected with them maybe once every 3 to 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And more of a hi, how you doing, what's happening type of thing. And because I don't want to be the annoying person who sends them a text message like every single week or so, because I think that's sort of an abuse of the privilege of having access to somebody's phone.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's like you just have to be to raise your level with respect to the people that you're surrounded with, and to be helpful, because you did say that to me earlier. Just be helpful. Yeah. Just be helpful.
Just be helpful to people.
Be helpful. Share their stuff. Comment on their things. Be a customer. That always helps.
That always helps. Yep,
if you're a customer of people and have purchased programs or coaching or even low-level products, the $27 or the $97 product, that goes a long way to getting their attention, because now you're a customer, you're a buyer, and you are valuable from the standpoint of commerce, but you also are valuable from the standpoint of somebody who can give them feedback on whether their stuff is good or not, or what new things that you want to have.
Yeah, I can't say that strongly enough. I can think of a number of times just being a customer.
Just being a customer makes a big
whole new level of, oh yeah, and I also know people who abuse that privilege and what that looks like, because I hear it all the time from other friends who say, oh, I had this person who was a customer and even gave them a product, and then they just kind of abused it. And
the customer from hell who asks for the refund and more.
So. Yeah, and so then you've got that side of things too. So you don't want to be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
You never want to be that guy.
Don't be the jerk at the party.
Nope. No. Be the nice, happy customer who's giving and joyful. And
I think that's what I experienced. I experienced that also with James Shremko, because I've been a member of his membership group, and I purchased a number of things from him and interacted with him on, I think it was Facebook and maybe Twitter or something. But then meeting him in person was, it was just natural to meet him at an e-com event. And he was just so incredibly nice.
He's a very nice guy.
Very nice guy.
I've only met him virtually.
Yeah, virtually. But meeting him in person, it was like, wow, you are taller than I thought you were.
Yeah. Once I was very surprised I got to meet him virtually. I was planning a summit with a friend of mine, a traffic summit.
Yeah.
And he showed up with Ezra Firestone.
Yeah. Well, this was an event. This was
great.
This was an event with Ezra Firestone, and James was there, and it was just, I just met him off to the side, and we instantly recognized each other. And
both great guys.
And I was moving out of e-commerce at that time, and I even had a brief conversation with him saying, I don't know if the e-commerce thing is with me. I think I'm more interested in coaching doctors and doing this and that. He says that's fine. He says, do what you're enthusiastic about and you love to do.
Yeah.
And if e-com is not it, that's fine. He says, because I don't think he's involved much in e-com. He was there to talk about strategies and other things and support Ezra, because they had more than one podcast together, actually.
Oh gosh, they had like at least two that I know of.
Yeah.
Possibly more.
There was the Think Act Get, and there was theirs was the Kicking Back also. They had one that was a lot of fun and really relaxed and chummy, as opposed to the more strategic one.
I think that was the one that was pretty chummy.
Really? I thought it was the other one was well, maybe it was, I'm confusing it with James. He had the one with one of his other partners, and that was called Kicking Back. That was really loosey goosey.
Oh.
Yeah, you should listen to that one. I don't know if that one's still around or not, but I think it came out maybe once.
I'm sure they're all around.
Once a month or something like that. It was a rarity to get one of those kicking back ones. Yeah. But so in terms of platforms, I guess you really need to find the platform you're most comfortable with and work it that way. I find LinkedIn, for me personally, is a little too stodgy and a little too salesy.
Yeah, I haven't found that at all. I actually found that I can go in and I can have some really good conversations with people on LinkedIn.
I mean, I've had it in the comment section with people. Yeah. I think my challenge has been, I shouldn't condemn LinkedIn actually, because I have had referrals.
And it was very relaxed.
Yeah.
We in fact, I watched a couple other people. They interact kind of the same way I do, and it can be a lot of fun. I think it's all the way you approach it. Most people think, oh well, it's a business channel, so I should be very businesslike. Well, not necessarily. You know, people at the end of the day do business with people that they like and are friendly with.
Right.
You don't have to, like immediately pitch somebody on something on LinkedIn. In fact, I would not suggest that.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are people whom I have good interactions on LinkedIn, but it's also because I have them on Facebook or Instagram, or more likely even Twitter. Yeah. You should never underestimate the power of Twitter. It's making a comeback, and
it is
15% of the Twitter feed actually goes through Google and does give you some SEO juice.
Yeah.
And when they announced that, I was just like, wow, I got to get back on Twitter.
Yeah. In fact, I'm trying to get more involved with conversing with people on all of them, but LinkedIn especially.
It's hard to do all of them. It is really hard to do all of them.
It is.
I mean, I almost feel like Facebook to the great extent is my jam, and then I do a little bit on Instagram. I do a lot on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I think I've ignored LinkedIn, much to my demise. Not demise, my downfall. So
I'm finding Facebook to feel more contrived lately when I try to.
Well, I think it is to some extent. I think it's a real pay to play type of thing. But I mean, I have a connection with so many top level internet marketers, for example, that we can do direct messages or comments or things like that. But I do believe that it's because I have a past history with them in real life that those connections work on Zookbook or the Book of Faces.
Yeah, they do. They work. They definitely work better if you have a past history with people.
But I think it also works well if you're in groups like Lindsay Anderson's Launch Circle, for example. I've made connections with a number of people. In fact, one of them, Celeste, actually referred a person in San Diego to me. And that was interesting. But that came off of a referral from LinkedIn. But we'd already known each other on Facebook. But she contacted me on LinkedIn, and then I went back and connected with this particular person. And just told her, said, look me up on Facebook because I'm more likely to answer my messages there than I am a message on LinkedIn. Because everybody's pitching me on LinkedIn. That's what the thing.
Yeah.
I'm very suspicious of any time somebody wants to connect with me. And it's just, it's gotten to the point where people, I feel like I'm a target because I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of connections.
And you are very different in that regard. I mean, we really like to connect deeply with people. We don't want to just be pitched and have you run off on us.
And I do believe that. It's more like if somebody really, every once in a while, I do have somebody who I will talk to on the phone who is genuinely interested in helping people and who will actually turn me away if I'm not a good fit for their program. And I will turn people away in a heartbeat if they're not a good fit for me, because I don't want that cranky customer.
Oh, nobody wants that.
No.
Life's too short for that.
Even if they are high profile person, by the way, because I have had connections with some very high profile people in the self-development, personal growth industry, and have had some connections as well as stories from other people with whom I have close relationships that have caused me to not unfollow, but pay a lot less attention to what they say, because what they've been doing is very different.
Their incongruency often gets you. And so we have seeing more and more people struggle with that incongruency. And that to me is telltale. The other thing is, which I think helps us a lot, is we're on video a lot, so people see us. They see that we're very approachable, and then so they reach out to us a lot more.
And I think as long as you're not pretending to be somebody you're not. I mean, if you're very transparent and it's like, today I'm only drinking water because I ran out of beer.
Me too.
So most people, actually, no. I have one Sapporo that's in the fridge with my name on it because we don't allow minors to drink. And I've said this before, and I think it was Katrina Ruth, and you've actually helped me with this too, which is that if I can be my punny, quirky self, I can still deliver a lot of valuable information, but do it with a wink and a nod and a smile and disrupt. Or I'm good at pattern interrupting with some people because sometimes they get way too serious.
People remember that.
What's that?
It's a good thing to do that because people remember
It
that.
is good. And or to say something that's totally unexpected and totally off the wall. And I don't mind doing that anymore. I think, after I turned 50, I started becoming sort of not the cranky old man that says, get off my lawn. I think I started becoming the person who just said, I'll say whatever I want. And if you don't like it, don't listen to me. Change the channel, turn off your browser, do something.
I know. I think the other thing that helped me a lot is being a very patient person.
I think you're far more patient than I am. Although I had over 13,000 patients.
So. I have the patience of Job. It's
yeah, but Job had a lot of bad stuff happen to him.
I know, but I've got that same patience. It's funny because when I worked in the software industry, I worked for a company that did a lot of graphic arts software, and somehow for a period of time, I'm a technical guy. I have the engineering background, and I went a lot between engineering and marketing. Yeah. And for a spit there, I had a little time period in a technical support role, and I was a high tier support person. So I got the people that would come in and they were just like angry, like, I can't believe you guys have done this to me. And
it was high tier, but it didn't bring you to tears.
Well, sometimes it did, and and that was a time where you just had to say, hey, look, I know you've gone through a lot of stuff, but the buck ends here. We'll get things taken care of. But you had to develop such a high level of patience.
Yeah.
In that position. And I said, I think that was the best thing for me that ever happened.
Yeah.
So for people reaching out to other people, tolerance and patience is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It really, if there's one virtue that you can work on, I think that's a good one.
Well, and I think from my training from years ago, patience was most often said was the antidote to anger.
Yeah. For sure.
And yeah, you have to be patient all the time. I mean, you wouldn't get pissed off and slap a little kid around who's just trying to walk. And I think the same thing is true of coaching clients and social media clients or agency clients and others, is they come to you because they need some help, and not everybody has the same level of knowledge that you do. I mean, we aspire to upgrade our skills and improve ourselves, and I think that's the major message about upgrading the type of people you hang out with most often. It doesn't mean that you totally discard other people. It's just, I think we focus more on those people who are offering constructive solutions, and we help them to spread their message. And in like manner, they're obviously at some point going to help spread your message.
Yeah, it's an evolution for sure.
Yeah. It's not about me, it's about thee. How can I help you? What can I do for you?
Yep. All the way.
I don't know that most people actually approach relationships online that way, though.
I don't know that they do.
I hear people trying to get the attention of others saying, hey, is there a way I can get a free product? I don't have money and I can't afford your product and this and that. And it's almost like, I would say they're trying to scam people, but there is the sense that they're not, some people at least aren't willing to put some skin in the game and help themselves or offer themselves. Sometimes I've known people who just offered themselves as a free virtual assistant for a particular person, to almost like an intern, an unpaid internship, and have done extremely well absorbing that kind of knowledge and learning from the experience and avoiding the mistakes that other people had.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I thought this was going to be a short one. This is longer than I had anticipated.
You picked one of my.
We're almost at the top of the hour.
It's one of my topics.
You have artificial light. I have natural light, which is soon to disappear on me.
I know. I won't get any more natural light until summer comes.
Till spring. Till spring.
till spring.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is this is for those of you out there who are still listening, there are a couple of you,
One or two.
one or two. We're back to really being on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific for our marketing happy hour. And then I guess occasionally, if time allows, we may come back to finish up or continue what we started on Wednesday.
Sneaking a bonus.
It's a bonus.
It's a bonus. Let's choose.
Remember, you get what you pay for.
That's true. Free is free.
Bonus. Cheers. Although it's bad luck to cheer, apparently, in several cultures without alcohol in your glass.
Oh, well, we won't do that then.
I like what one of my instructors, Dr. Rudy Lynn of Savannah, Georgia, used to say. He said, I'm about to have me a double gin. Oxygen and hydrogen.
Perfect.
He had a very thick Georgia drawl.
Sounds like it.
It's like when you people who can take. There's a song out that I just heard the other day, and it was I think it was on an alternative radio station here in San Diego, and it was every single word that was a one-syllable word. This person was making into multiple syllable, 2 syllables, like I want aunt. And I was at first it was intriguing, then it became annoying. So
that would be very annoying. I don't think I can handle that for very long.
And my preference is that you find us intriguing as opposed to annoying. So come on, be sure to come back to our regular new time, hump day for the marketing happy.
Needs a little push over that hump, in the middle of the week.
You're going to push over the hump. Would that be 1 hump or 2? Dromedary or Bactrian? That's the question. Pick your camel, Joe.
Pick the camel.
All right. So if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions on topics you'd like us to cover, put the comment down in here. What's that?
There's a comment section.
There is a comment section here below each of these videos. And for some reason, I do apologize. The comment portion of StreamYard is not working for me today. But if you have commented, I will come back. I will circle back and acknowledge you for commenting. A lot of you I know are lurkers, and we prefer workers over lurkers.
Yes. Lurking will not help you meet people too, may I add.
Lurking will not get you connected to people. I can tell you that for a fact.
I would almost say that if you just make comments and work at connecting, it's just going to happen. But if you lurk and do nothing.
Yeah, and it is a natural evolution to connect with people.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no connection with John and RVing other than I saw Rachel Brosnan talking about poop and RVs. But that's another way that I understand John now, is those tubes.
I know. It's a popular sport these days.
It's a sport? What is the RV Championships, the Olympics? Is that coming up next?
Well, it gets you outside hiking and outdoors, and
I think that's the key. It provides you with a mobile base camp for all of your activities.
All of your activities.
Got it. All right. So with that, we hope you enjoy your RVing this weekend. If you are doing that in the hills of Vermont or New Hampshire.
Too cold for that here now.
It's too cold? It's never too cold.
I'm parked for the winter.
I know people who do winter camping, though. I wonder that they're a different breed.
I wanted to. I have done a little bit of winter camping in the past, but it's just tough year for that.
Hey, if you want us to tackle, if you want us to tackle the topic of winter camping, we're more than happy to do that, but you have to put it in the comments section for our next event.
Talk about anything.
All right. Have a great weekend, y'all. We're going to be back here. Go Bills. They play the Colts tomorrow. So.
Oh, that'd be a good game.
How are your Patriots doing?
Don't ask.
Never mind. I'm going to break the rapport and the composite if I go on.
Break me. Don't know.
Yes, we can. All right. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
See you next